Shri Gurubhyo Namaha children, I welcome you all to our online English class. In today's class, we are going to see a lesson from your class 10, okay, Footprints Without Feet book. It's a non-detailed book children, and the lesson is Making of a Scientist. This lesson is written by Robert W. Peterson. Let us know about the author before going into the lesson. Robert W. Peterson was an American newspaper writer, and he later became a magazine and article writer. He also wrote on topics like sports and Scouts children. He was born in 1925 and he died in February 11, 2006. So this lesson is about the famous scientist Richard E. Bright, and how he reached the pinnacle of success, what excited him, how he excited the scientific world are all the part of the lesson which we are going to see in this class. Let us get into the line by line explanation of the lesson. At the age of 22, a former Scout of the Year excited the scientific world with a new theory on how cells work. So Richard E. Bright, when he was 22 years old, okay, he excited the scientific world. He put everyone, okay, in fascination. Everybody was amazed to see somebody discovering something which is very unique. So he discovered on how cells work. He proposed a theory on how cells work. Richard H. E. Bright and his college roommate explained the theory in an article in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Science. So Richard E. Bright along with his friend. So his friend was his college roommate. They both only together, they proposed this theory in the Proceedings. Proceeding is again a published material, okay, of science. So of the Proceedings of the National Academy of Science. It was the first time this important scientific journal had ever published the work of college students. So it was very important an occasion. Why? Because this is the first time, okay, the academy has been publishing the works of students. Okay, previous it was publishing the works of only renowned scientists. It is the first time they have published the works of college students. So it was a very important thing that happened during those days. And a scientific journal. A journal is a magazine or an article published on certain topic is called as a journal, and it is a scientific journal. It is a magazine or an article published on certain topic. In sports, that would be like making the big leagues at the age of 15 and hitting a home run your first time you bat. So it is so important, like how if you give an actress an Oscar award, how big it is. Similarly, for a batsman, if he is attending the league matches at the age of 15, it is so big, okay, the achievements are so big. For Richard E. Bright, it was the first in a long string of achievements in science and other fields, and it all started with butterflies. So this was the beginning of his scientific exploration. Okay, he had done so many things, but this was the start, and he got this interest from the butterflies. Butterflies were the ignition point of him, okay, into the exploration into science. An only child, E. Bright grew up north of Reading, Pennsylvania. There wasn't much I could do there, he said. I certainly couldn't play football or baseball with a team of one. But there was one thing I could do, collect things. So as a child, everybody of us would be playing or involved some other play. Okay, but this boy hadn't experienced any type of playing in a group. He had only one thing to do. The thing was collecting materials. He collected various items as a child. But there was one thing I could do, collect things. So he did, and did he ever. Beginning in kindergarten, E. Bright collected butterflies with the same determination that has marked all his activities. So, as a kindergarten child, you can imagine how small he would be. Even as a kindergarten child, he started collecting. He was not interested in playing, he started collecting things. And that too, he started with butterflies. He also collected rocks, fossils and coins. He became an eager astronomer too, sometimes stargazing all night. So, he collected rocks, fossils, not only butterflies, he also collected rocks, fossils and coins, and he also became an amateur astronomer. What he would do at the night, he would gaze at the stars. Stargazing means looking. Gazing is looking, stargazing is looking at the stars, about the patterns. So, he would sit all night and watch the stars. From the first, he had a driving curiosity along with a bright mind. He also had a mother who encouraged his interest in learning. She took him on trips, bought him telescopes, microscopes, cameras, mounting materials and other equipment, and helped him in many other ways. So, as a child, okay, he was a very curious child. He had a very enthusiastic mind. He wanted to learn everything. And his mother was a perfect companion for him. She motivated him, she encouraged him in all his endeavors, and not only that, she also provided the situation for the child to grow. She bought him cameras, telescopes, many other things. Yeah, you could see telescopes, microscopes, camera, mounting materials and all the equipments whichever helped him, okay, to explore the world. I was his only companion until he started school, his mother said. So, you can understand how small. Before even starting school, he had his own microscopes, telescopes, mounting materials. So, he had started exploring at the very small age, at a very young age. And he had no friends. Before even he started school, his only companion was his mother. After that, I would bring home friends for him, but at night we just did things together. Richie was my whole life after his father died, when Richie was in 3rd grade. So, if there was nothing they could do, they brought in friends for Richie to play, Richard E. Bright to play. And when Richard was in 3rd standard, his father died. After which the entire world of the mother was only Richard. She didn't have any other thing to put her mind into. Only the child, and growing the child up was her entire ambition. She and her son spent almost every evening at the dining room table. If he didn't have things to do, I found work for him. Not physical work, but learning things, his mother said. So, what after the father's death, only these two were there in the family. So, every evening they would sit on the dining room and they would speak or do some other work. If they had no work at all, the mother would give him purposefully some learning work. She didn't give him any game type of work, she gave him learning works so that the boy would be interested in learning new things. He liked it, he wanted to learn. And learn he did. He earned top grades in school. On everyday things, he was just like every other kid, his mother said. So, he liked learning. The mother, she understood the interest of the kid. So, she gave him things for him to learn, and he also liked it, and forever he was involved in learning, and this boy was a top scorer in the class and behaved like all other kids. By the time he was in the 2nd grade, E. Bright had collected all 25 species of butterflies found around his hometown. So, you could see his interest and his achievement at the very small age. He was only in the 2nd standard, and by this time he had collected 25 species of butterflies. Children would now only just be looking at butterflies at the second grade, okay, they would at least run behind it. But this boy had collected 25 different varieties, species of butterflies. That probably would have been the end of my butterfly collecting, he said. But then my mother got me a children's book called The Travels of the Monarch 10. That book, which told how monarch butterflies migrate to Central America, opened the world of science to the eager young collector. So, after collecting 25 different species found around his place, he thought, okay, that must be the end. There wouldn't be any more species for him to collect. Only during that time, the mother bought a book. She bought a children's book on the travels of Monarch 10. And monarchs are a variety of butterfly. And the book contained the information about how the monarch butterflies would migrate from one place to another place. Okay, from Redding, it had moved to Central America. So, that only opened his mind into the world of science. At the end of the book, readers were invited to help study butterfly migrations. They were asked to tag butterflies for research by Dr. Frederick A. Urquhart of University of Toronto, Canada. So, the book, okay, which was authored by Frederick A. Urquhart, what he had done at the end, he had invited the young collectors, okay, to tag the butterflies whichever they see. Okay, he wanted them to tag the butterflies so that they can study the migrations of the butterfly. Ebright's mother wrote to Dr. Urquhart, and soon Ebright was attaching light adhesive tags to the wing of monarchs. So, Richard Ebright, he was interested, okay, he wanted to tag the butterflies. So, the mother wrote to Dr. Urquhart, okay, that his son is interested, and from then on he started fixing adhesive tapes, okay, which is very less in weight for the butterfly to carry. Okay, he started tagging the butterflies. Anyone who found a tagged butterfly was asked to send the tag to Dr. Urquhart. So, this fly would move from one place to another. If they found a butterfly there, what they had to do, they have to remove the tag and mark the place and send the tag to Dr. Urquhart, so that he will be able to calculate the migration from which place to which place, the distance, all of it would be useful for calculation. The butterfly collecting season around Redding lasts 6 weeks in late summer. If you are going to chase them one by one, you won't catch very many. So, the next step for Ebright was to raise a flock of butterflies. So, the butterfly season in Redding lasts only during the summer season only for 6 months. So, he thought he cannot keep running behind every butterfly, catching them and tagging them. That is not an easy way to get a successful result. So, what he did, he bred, okay, a flock of butterflies in his own place. He started raising butterflies. He would catch a female monarch, take her eggs and raise them in his basement through their life cycle, from egg to caterpillar to pupa to adult butterfly. So, what this boy would do, he would take a female monarch butterfly, take her eggs, grow the eggs, complete the cycle. Then at the end of the cycle, he would get some handful of butterflies, tag all the butterflies and let them out. Then he would tag the butterflies' wings and let them go. For several years, his basement was home to thousands of monarchs in different stages of development. So, his basement was a place where he bred the butterflies, and there were butterflies of all stages. Okay, you could find pupas there, you could find caterpillars there and cocoons there, all sorts of butterflies. Okay, the stages of butterflies could be seen in his basement. Eventually, I began to lose interest in tagging butterflies. It is tedious and there is not much feedback. So Ebright started losing interest because it was a very laborious job and the result was also only meager. He was not able to get a very a good result, or he was not able to collect any perfect data, okay, out of his tagging of butterflies. He thought it is a tedious work. A tedious work is a very work which is very hard, or a laborious work which involved great efforts, okay, that is called as tedious. In all the time I did it, he laughed. Only 2 butterflies I had tagged were recaptured, and they were not more than 75 miles from where I lived. He dropped this plan, his idea of tagging the butterflies. Why? Because he raised so many butterflies, and for several years he had tagged many butterflies, but only 2 butterflies of his flock were recaptured, okay, and that too it was captured within the radius of only 75 miles from his own place. It did not migrate to very long distant place. Then in the 7th grade, he got a hint of what real science is when he entered a county science fair and lost. It was really a sad feeling to sit there and not get anything while everybody else had won something. So when he was studying in the 7th standard, he attended a county science fair, a science exhibition in which he had lost. He didn't win any prizes there. It was very sad for him because everybody else was winning something or other, and this boy didn't win even a prize. So that is where, okay, he started to think that he has to do something more, okay, in order to achieve. Ebright said his entry was slides of frog tissues which he showed under a microscope. He realized the winners had tried to do real experiments, not simply make a neat display. So he lost, I told you, but what was his project was he prepared a slide of frog tissues. He neatly displayed the slide of the frog tissue, but everybody else had done something new, some experiment they had made, and they won the fight. And this boy, okay, he had only made a display. That was not enough for him to gain any prizes. So that is where he understood that he had to do something more. Not only just showing would fetch him prizes. Already the competitive spirit that drives Richard Ebright was appearing. I knew that for the next year's fair, I would have to do a real experiment. So now, okay, he has regained his curiosity. He wanted to do something. He was ambitious that he had to win some prize. So he started working on it. For the next year project, he started early. The subject I knew most about was the insect work I had been doing in the past several years. So he wrote to Dr. Urquhart for ideas, and back came a stack of suggestions for experiments. So he somehow wanted to win a prize. So what he did, he thought he would start the project with something which he knew very well. He cannot start anything from the scratch and win a prize the next year. So he thought it would be better if he chose the butterflies, because he had been dealing with butterflies from his young age. And he now wrote to Dr. Urquhart. Okay, he wanted some suggestions from him. What experiments could he make? So all this was happening when he was in the 7th standard. Okay, he wrote to Urquhart, and back came a stack of suggestions. Stack means what? Many ideas. Okay, Urquhart had sent him many ideas on experiments. Those kept Ebright busy all through high school and led to prize projects in the county and the international science fairs. For his 8th grade project, Ebright tried to find the cause of a viral disease that kills nearly all monarch caterpillars every few years. So this man, Okay, he gave lots of ideas. This boy was also interested. For the next year, he started winning prizes in the county science fairs and also in the international science fairs. He started gaining prizes. So, during the 8th standard, so his project was, he was discovering about the viral diseases, okay, which killed the caterpillars of the monarch butterflies. Every few years this virus disease would come and it would kill all the caterpillars of the butterfly, and he was making his project on finding what was the cause. Ebright thought the disease might be carried by a beetle. He tried raising caterpillars in the presence of beetles. I didn't get any real results, he said, but I went ahead and showed that I had tried the experiment. So, this time what he is doing, I told you, when you have to make some discovery, there is no straight point and all. Okay, you have to try, trial and error, various things you have to try. At the end only you can come to a conclusion. So, this boy took a postulation that the beetles were responsible for the viral disease. So, what he did, he grew the caterpillars of the monarch butterflies in the presence of beetles. Along with the beetles, he also raised the caterpillars, but even though he didn't get any real results, okay, what he did, he went and he showed people that he had tried, okay, this method had been tried, that beetles were not actually responsible for the death or the viral disease in the caterpillars. This time I won. The next year, his science fair project was testing the theory that viceroy butterflies copy monarchs. So, in the 8th standard, this was the project. So, in the next year, what his project was, he was determining whether the viceroy butterflies, viceroy is also a kind of a butterfly, as a different species of a butterfly, whether viceroy butterfly was imitating the monarch butterfly, whether this is happening was his postulation. The theory was that viceroys look like monarchs because monarchs don't taste good to birds. Viceroy butterflies look like monarch butterflies, and why is that this viceroy behaves like monarch butterfly is that the monarch butterflies doesn't taste good, it doesn't taste appealing to a bird. So, in the fright that bird might come and kill, the viceroys will behave like a monarch butterfly, thinking that it is a monarch butterfly, the birds will not come and eat it. Viceroys, on the other hand, do taste good to the birds. So, the more they look like monarchs, the less likely they are to become a bird's dinner. Ebright's project was to see whether, in fact, birds would eat monarchs. He found that a starling would not eat ordinary bird food. So, he was now interested. He understood that the viceroy and the monarch's butterfly look alike, and he is also having some assumption that the viceroys will behave like monarchs, and the reason is because monarchs don't taste good, viceroys taste good for the bird. And he thought, is there any other bird, okay, living which eats monarch butterfly, and he found that there is a bird called a starling. Starling is a variety of a bird and that likes to eat monarch butterflies. Yes, children? So, let us continue the remaining part of the lesson in our next session, children. Before closing, please do subscribe our online YouTube channel for more updates, children. See you all.